Dear listeners, thank you for joining to this tech talk. Today's session is all about retrospective meetings, and some people think it's really important for project success, while others believe that it's just a waste of time. We are going to explore this topic with our today's speaker, Natalia Hronskaya, together and try to figure out if retrospective meetings are truly beneficial. But before we start, I want to encourage all of you to join in. Your questions, thoughts, and experience are important, so please feel free to share them in the comment section. So let's get started and find out if retrospectives are valuable. I'm giving the scene to you, Natalia.
Yes, hello everyone. I'm glad to see all of you here, and would like to tell you about retrospective meeting as the main ceremony in Agile, and let's discuss it and let's review and decide if this is important or just a time waste. So, some words about me. I'm working for EPAM more than 15 years. I have participated in more than 10 production projects in different roles. As a testing team lead, as a single tester, as a project coordinator, and the release manager. I also participated in non-project activities in EPAM as assessment expert, mentor, resource manager. Please pay attention on our information below the slide, and here you can see a reference to social connections, and you can join at any time. So, about today's presentation, it will consist of 4 parts. I will try to tell you, first of all, I will try to tell you about importance of retrospective, show you what people think about it and how they feel this meeting is organized. Of course, I will pay attention on attributes of the retro, on structure, how it should be organized, which roles should be defined there. Also, I will try to tell about several potential issues and how I resolved it on my projects. Okay, let's start. If we think about retrospective in one sentence, I would say it's time to reflect on past to improve the future. I have chosen exactly this phrase, and I would ask you to think about it during my presentation. The main goal and description of this process should happen during the retrospective meeting. Let's start. First of all, I'd like to provide you several statements which you can hear about this retrospective meeting. I should also admit that there are a lot of positive thoughts about these meetings, and there are a lot of teams and projects who held this meeting very successfully and get a lot of benefits. Um, and of course, there are some negative part and thoughts, and I'd like to show you these ones and explain why it happens so and what you should do or what you can do with this. So some people, when you ask to organize retrospective meeting, some people tell you, "I want to do tasks. I don't want to spend time on this discussion." Or, for example, "I didn't see any results from previous retros. Why should I participate in this one?" People even can think that I'm working, I don't have any issues, I don't want to come and resolve anything. Also, you should remember that in other meetings, also present in Agile, daily stand-ups, planning, grooming, etc., and sometimes spent on these meetings. Retrospective happens at the end of the sprint, when people are tired a bit and don't want to waste this time. So, you see, sometimes it is not easy to get team members to participate in retrospective. And during my presentation, I will try to show you positive side and how to organize this and make it successful. Well, first of all, we should understand what we expect from this meeting. I would start from the first main brick of this retrospective. First of all, it is not time to working hard. It is time for relaxing, and it is time to build trust in the team, actually having fun and improve communication. Uh, you can share with your team members that this is really time for communicate. And you should remember about trust. Uh, if there is no trust in the team, you should build it during such meetings. The second brick, regularity of this meeting. Uh, please conduct them at the same day and time, by the end of each iteration. Either it is sprint or main milestone, it will be a good habit for the team to participate. I can also pay your attention that retro is not only for the issues, for the questions, this is also for success recognition. Don't forget about good stuff which happened during the milestone, during the iteration. And the last brick, it is mostly about results of the discussion. At the end of the retro, you will get the list of action items which will be assigned to your team members and will help to improve your communication, improve the implementation process. So, what are the roles which can be defined in retrospective meeting? Actually, it is not only participants, but also organizer. I have separated this role because organizer makes some additional efforts during the meeting, before the meeting, and after this retrospective meeting. Of course, Scrum Master or project owner or project manager can be an organizer, but if it happens so that there is no Scrum Master in your team and you are, as a testing team lead, want to organize, this retrospective because you see that team members in your testing team insist on it. So you can organize it. Feel free to do this. Several activities should be performed by organizer. Outside of the meeting, this is preparation and follow-up. During the meeting, organizer, of course, a participant and can submit items and describe them, but also he is a facilitator. I will provide more information on later slides about organizer role because this is very important and should be organized. Let's switch on participants. Participants, it's all team members who participated in the implementation process. Of course, they are testers, developers, business analysts, designers. Please don't forget to include project and delivery managers because it can happen that some questions may be addressed only to them. You can ask, what about customer? Well, retrospective is internal meeting and mostly for the team who participated in implementation. Of course, don't forget to share the results of a retrospective with the customer. It will be a follow-up. But during this discussion, it's better to participate only within your team. To feel comfortable, to make this relaxed, and to build trust inside the team. So, moving forward, we'll see on which part we can divide retrospective. It's not only discussion, which of course the main part of this, but also preparation and follow-up. Preparation and follow-up mostly are done by organizer, but feel free to invite team members to this phase. Remember, the more people will feel importance of the retrospective, the more effective it will be. Let's start from preparation. Before the meeting starts, organizer should perform some actions. Of course, it is needed. You can discuss the set of columns and appropriate tools within your team before the retro starts. Maybe someone already has some experience in using any retrospective tools. And you can, of course, define the names of the columns within your team. And of course, organizer prepare a team invitation. It should have several attributes and some important information. First of all, it will be a link to the board, where you can also put the names of the columns and rules what should be described there. Also, please include general rules about meeting timelines, for example, 5 minutes for intro, 10 minutes for results at the end of the meeting, and 30-40 minutes for discussion. Also, you can put some notes about importance of this retrospective and willing to see all the team members there. You can also announce this retrospective during any daily stand-up, 1-2 days before retro starts. Well, you can ask your team to put the items on the board before the retro starts, but don't be surprised that it will be empty till the retro starts. If you are checking the board and notice there are no any items, so what can you do? You can start putting this by yourself. It will show your team members that there are some items already put there and maybe some interesting ideas appeared in their mind. Also, there is such functionality as likes on a retro board. It also can be used because if there are a lot of items provided for the retrospective, you can use voting for sorting and start discussion from the most important and urgent questions. And of course, don't forget to inspire your team by your own good mood and anticipation. Moving forward and switch on Retroboard itself. I would say it should consist mainly it should consist on three parts: what was good, what was bad, and what we can do with all of this. Please remember that we are discussing only current iteration, only this sprint. It will be easier to concentrate on this iteration. Well, what we can do with this and what we want to do with this. Of course, we want to increase good things and reduce bad ones. All these items should be put in the last column, action items. It will be put there by organizer. So again, you notice that one more activity assigned to him. I should remind you that not all the issues can be resolved, and not all the issues which put in to improve column should have action items. Maybe it will be enough only to discuss, to highlight these items, and not every item should have action items. This is okay. At least several action items will be good. The first column is very, very important. Well, when we organize retrospective, it is not only about issues, not only about questions and problems. It is also about all stuff which was successful, which we done very good. Don't forget about this. And at the beginning of retrospective, organizing can provide short summary of sprint results. Well, I can give you some examples what can went well. For example, at least we organized retro. Isn't it a good point to put on the board? Yeah, it is a good one. For example, we have completed all planned stories by the end of the sprint. Yeah, it also should be and can be put in the first column. For example, we have created a non-work activities chat. This is also very important for communication and can be put in the first column. I have named the second column to improve because it's not sounds very good if we put this what we did bad. So what to improve? For example, not all the stories were completed by the end of the sprint. Yeah, we see this problem and we want to discuss it together inside our team and maybe define some action items. What else can be improved? We noticed there are many bugs in regression. This is also an issue, and we also should something do with this. Which action items can also be put in the last column? For example, we have noticed in this sprint that there are several very big stories. We should understand the size of the applicable story and put these action items in the last column. Well, you can put the titles of the columns whatever you want. Also, it can be not only 3 columns, but more columns if it is needed. By the way, you can put also column pause. It will be some items which you can't decide right now during this retro or during the next sprint. You just highlight this and put in pause. It's also applicable. Okay, I can give you some example. During preparing this presentation, I have created a retrospective board using Easy Retro tool. Actually, this is the most popular one. And created 3 columns for my self-reflection. You can see this on the screen. I have put what went well from my point of view. I have provided a lot of information during presentation and put this in the first column. Also, pay attention. I have liked this item, and you should remind your team members to like, because you will use this as an organizer. You will use this for the topics which should be started for discussion. In Easy Retro, there is possibility to add comments to any items. And this is also very important because different opinions can appear during discussion. Remember, you should review the issue or problem from different sides, and this is very good if different people provide their own opinion, and you will able to review this in the whole. The next column, what to improve. Please notice in the square brackets I have put my name here because it will be easier to start from this item if author of this item will describe what he wanted to say with this sentence. Also, action items, I have put my name because this item should be assigned to myself. And remember, all action items should be assigned to one person. If it stay unassigned, you can have such situation when nothing will be done inside of this item. Of course, it can be some people who will help to resolve this action item, but responsible person should be one of the team member. Okay, and some more information about tools for Retro. Actually, there are a lot of them, and you can choose anything you want. The main idea to define how many columns will be provided on the board, how they will be named, and to push people to put items there. Okay, moving to Retro itself, to discussion phase. Meeting has started. Please remember, if you are an organizer, you should perform additional actions and activities during the retro also, not only before and after, but also during the retro. At the beginning of this meeting, you can provide the results of iteration with some metrics, with graphics, for example, how many stories were completed, how many bugs were found and fixed, with nice graphics. It's enough just 5 minutes to spend on this topic. You can also remind about rules, time frames, and goals of this meeting. Ask people to like items which already exist on the board. I can remind you that it will be used for sorting most popular items. By the way, you can ask another team members to help you as organizer to do some activities, for example, to track the time left during the retro, to review the likes, to sort the items, and also participate in the follow-up preparation. Well, sometimes it happens that retrospective meeting has started, but no items on the board. This is also okay, actually. Just give 5-10 minutes for the team to put the items there. During this activity, you can provide the results of sprints, for instance. And by the way, don't forget to put your own items on the board in case it was empty before the meeting starts. If there are some difficulties in putting items on the board, as an organizer, you can start to define areas related to the implementation and communication and ask people if anyone see any issues or any good stuff which happens in this area. For example, how we implemented story. Was it easy or we experienced some difficulties? What about bugs? Do you feel that less bugs appeared in this sprint than in previous sprints? You can also discuss chats and meetings, by the way. How much time we spend on meetings during the sprint? Is it bothered for the team? And additional activities for organizer. I remind you, track the time. Stop long non-productive discussions. And of course, stop blaming and remind that we are here to see the issues from different sides, not to discuss people. We are trying to review the situation and find the possible solution. This is not our goal to define who did something wrong. I remember that retrospective is for building trust and creating comfortable environment for providing different opinions. And probably the most important part of organizer and most important activity for organizer, writing down the action items. I would say that if you decided to become an organizer of such retrospective meeting, it's just you just should remember about these activities. It is not hard to implement. Just remember and do. We have completed with organizer. Let's switch on participants. Participants, what can participant do to get more productive retrospective? Well, despite the fact this is end of the iteration and the team has spent all the efforts on the implementation phase, some simple activities can also be performed by them to improve the retro and get better results. First of all, I would like to highlight that not all the projects have a retrospective meeting, and as a team member or together with your colleagues, leaders, if you noticed that you experience lack of feedback, lack of information, where the project goes, what we expect from us as a team, and you don't feel recognized, and suppose there are issues with which interfere your work, please feel free to ask about retrospective. Ask your leader, ask project manager, ask Scrum Master. Be the first who shows this issue and notice that it is needed in your team. For sure, don't forget to like items provided by another team members. I can remind that it will be used for sorting most popular items. Feel free to discuss the ideas provided by another team members. Don't forget to do this without blaming. Only situation should be discussed, not people. And I can tell you, and I can ask you, don't be afraid to share your opinion on any item. Not one of you is wrong. This is just different sides of the issue. And the more sides we will able to see, the easier it will be to resolve. You can also offer yourself for the action items if you see it's in the scope of your possibilities. By the way, you can also ask about help from your colleagues and suggest you help to others. When the meeting ends and organizers send a follow-up email, please review it, refresh all these items in your memory, and check the action items assigned to you. Also, don't forget to read the meeting invitation. which also contain important information, and don't forget to fill the board before the meeting starts. Summing up, I can say that even your retros was just around the discussion, no any action items were defined. This is also a good start for communication improvement. You get it. You can feel you as one team during this time. And I can remind you that not the main goal to resolve all the issues. I would say the main goal to build trust, positive communication inside the team, which will help you to manage activities to resolve the issues, current ones and future ones. Let's review what could go wrong during the retrospective. Silence. Yes, it can happen. Silence of few participants and nobody wants to start discussion. It can happen very often. As an organizer, when announcing the retro during any daily stand-up, make sure that most of the part of the team will participate. You can think why people don't want to come to such meetings. First of all, this is trust in the team. And this is also related to the belief that something can be changed as a result of such meetings. For instance, some people may be very busy with the implementation tasks or fixes. Try to ask his team member help, ask him personally if he will be able to at least provide some items on the board. You may also refer to some stories which were implemented by this person who don't want to attend the meeting and describe him that it will help to improve such case and insist on attendance. It can happen that someone may be embarrassed to say something. Well, in such case, you can remind that this is enough to write down the item on the retro board, and you, as an organizer, can read this item and provide some details, and ask your team members to start discussion. When the meeting starts, you as an organizer introduce the rules and goals, and it will help the team to understand what is needed to focus on. You can give team some time to put the items at the beginning. Don't forget about this opportunity. Remind also about good moments during the sprint. They also should be provided here to be proud of our achievements together. Another interesting and difficult part of retrospective which can happen, this is blaming. Organizers should stop such discussion at once and remind that all of us want to hear and understand the situation, not people. For example, it can happen that not all stories were completed during the sprint. And our goal here, not to find a person who didn't manage to close the story. We are trying to see why it happened and if it affects our delivery and who and which actions can perform to do this differently in next sprint. Maybe such stories were too complicated. Maybe we need to groom such stories more carefully. Maybe we should separate such one story into smaller ones. The second situation, boring meeting. Well, I hope I have provided enough info about structure and organization of retrospective, so please use it, follow it, analyze previous retros, ask people what they want to improve in the meeting itself, track the progress and the people's mood during the meeting. Of course, build trust. I remind you about this during my presentation. And don't push the team. Believe that issues can be resolved, but not all and not at once. Step by step, improving communication, improving process of implementation, and of course, improving the retrospective. Nothing improved. Well, Sometimes it happens that this is not able to resolve some action items. Or, by the way, it can happen that action item is not actual anymore in the next sprint. Yeah, good, very nice. I will try to provide more information about rules related to action items on the next slide, and it will help you to make them clear and to do this resolved. Yeah, action items. To put them on the board, it is the responsibility of organizer, but it is the responsibility of the whole team members to think about it, to define what we can do as a team, and who exactly can resolve this issue. Items should be put on the board and present in the follow-up email. I remind you, it should be assigned on a person, on a defined team member. Of course, other team members can assist with this item, or maybe we can put that item on pause. We can also mark this with this option because we highlight it, but we don't want to do with this. This is not this is required, but not must to have timelines. If you see that this action item can be resolved during the sprint, yeah, you can put the timeline here and actually definition of done. How we understand that this item was resolved. This list will be stored in one place, firstly on board, and then together with the follow-up, it can be stored, for example, in Confluence. Well, moving to this part, follow-up. This is also very important because retrospective is not only about discussion. Of course, this is the main part of the retrospective. But at the end, we want to get something. And this is the responsibility of organizer to create such follow-up, to put this information about all the retrospective in one place. In Confluence, for example. You can also use universal template to put this information. For example, intra with sprint results, items which were discussed, action items with responsible person, with timelines, with definition of done. Everything will be put in Confluence, and all team members can find this information easily. You should also send short follow-up by email, and this is very important, to share this information with the customer. At the beginning of my presentation, I have told about customer that he doesn't participate in this retrospective, but customer should know about this meeting and should see that you are gathered together and discuss some item and defined some areas where you experience difficulties. And you as a team was able to generate action items which you hope will help to improve implementation and make the project successful. Share this information with customer by email, on any meeting. Remind about importance of this retrospective meeting. So I'm glad to share some insights came into my mind during the meeting, during the presentation. First of all, start doing retro. This is simple. If your project still doesn't have retrospective at all, start to suggest to do this. Start to be an organizer and imitate this meeting. Try one meeting and don't make it perfectly. Well, it's okay if retrospective itself have some issues. This is okay. It should not go perfectly. Also, don't forget to involve people into the meeting preparation and discussion and follow up. You know that if people do something, they feel recognition, etc. It will happens very good. I can also say that I have noticed that Retro is constantly improving the project and the meeting itself. Probably the most important sentence, this is not blaming, this is for raising hands up, because we are discussing with people. It's very easy to start blaming each other, but don't do this. Remember about this. People should feel comfortable to share their opinions. Analyze every retro to improve the meetings. You can analyze not only as organizer, also as participant. You also can analyze retro and suggest maybe items in another way. So analyzing every retro is very good habit. Don't forget to assign actions to different team members. Don't push people to be this person, but assign not everything. Not everything should be assigned on one person. For example, project manager, testing team lead, dev lead, etc. It should be different people who will be assigned. And I should remind you that this is not a problem if something goes unexpected. This is retro. This is time and place for such stuff. Interesting and not very easy ones. Well, it's time to share the real stories, which were promised. I can tell you about one difficult project in my experience. It had strict timelines and increasing scope. Implementation lasted several months and without any reflection. It seemed that people didn't have time on more meetings because they were completely busy with their tasks, with the stories, with the bugs, with testing, etc. And finally, when we have organized retro, we were surprised that board was full of items. All the people submitted several items, and we even didn't manage to discuss all of them. And despite the fact the project was complicated and it was not easy to work in this project, a lot of good items were also submitted. And we saw the whole picture based on this retro board. And we managed to discuss very important items and define some actions. For example, it was an item that all team members are very busy, and this is not good just to make a call during the work. So it's bother people very much when you just call or ask to join to any meeting. And we decided that at least the organizer of such call should write down in chat to this person that he need to be joined to the discussion. One more story. I can say that on the first retros, sometimes it happens that people don't want to share their opinions. As a testing team lead, I have organized a retrospective, and developers didn't want to tell anything. They told me that everything's okay, nothing to discuss. So I was the first person who started to provide information about bad and good stuff. Of course, I started from the good ones, and I noticed that developers have moved to testing a story without any bugs. It was a surprise for me. I was working hard to find some issues in this functionality, but I didn't manage to do this, and I moved the story into done status without any bugs. it was so pleasant to the development team that feeling this, they started also to tell their stories related to the project. Well, that's it from my side. Camila, I'm ready for questions.
Yeah, dear listeners, at first, thank you, Natalia, for sharing your experience, and hopefully it was helpful for our users, and some tips and tricks can be introduced to their everyday work, or maybe you've encouraged someone to conduct retrospective meeting, or at least to encourage their colleagues to start conducting it. And it's time for questions. I see a few of them in the comment section. And one more reminder for our listeners, please, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to write them down. We will go through them like in the following 10 minutes. So the first question is there any difference for distributed team members?
Well, I can say that many years ago we had such meetings offline when we worked together in one room. I would say it was easy and fun to meet together and discuss personally. But nowadays, a lot of teams are distributed, and it doesn't depend in which location your team members are placed. Um, Anyway, you are joining online. I have shown you online tools for board, and this is online meeting. This is okay. This is comfortable. No any specific for distributed team. Mostly, I would say that you should understand who should be invited. Of course, all the people who took part in implementation phase, developers, testers, maybe business analysts, maybe designers, and project managers. I would not suggest to invite someone from the customer sides, for example, product owner, but you should understand who exactly took part into implementation and invite all these people.
Okay, thank you for your answer. Let's move on to the next question. Well, are there specific types of situations where retrospective are particularly valuable or they are always applicable?
By the end of my presentation, I have provided one example that we didn't do this retrospective during several months. And finally, we noticed there are a lot of open questions. So I would say retrospective should highlight problems on early stage. And yeah, it is applicable for every team. And you just should remind that it should be by the end of the sprint, for example, once in 2-3 weeks. I would say not more. If you want to organize retrospective once a month, or for example, after the big milestone, it will not be effective. One meeting in 2-3 weeks, it will be applicable. You will see the progress, you will track it. So pay attention on this regularity.
Okay, thank you for covering this question, and we have a few more. Can you share any success story when the meeting led to improvements for QA team?
Well, yeah, as a testing team lead, of course, I have experienced many problems in implementation phase from the side of QA team. As I mentioned during presentation, of course, this is not all the stories completed by the end of the sprint because they moved to testing on late stage. Uh, all these questions can be discussed. And again, on my one project, we had a lot of bugs, especially in regression. This question also can be discussed because as a as a testing team, you can't resolve this issue. You just can highlight and ask developers, for example, I don't know, to define timeline when the stories should be moved to QA. Yeah, it can be improvement from dev side, but it is initiated by QA team because QA team doesn't have a lot of time to complete the story by the end of the sprint. So maybe developers didn't notice this, didn't know about these difficulties. So retro is for highlighting the item and suggest to define, for example, one day when all stories should be moved to QA. Yeah, and it helps. And about bugs, it happened on my project as I told already, that many bugs started to appear in the code. We discussed this together with dev team, and they realized that they need to do the pull request review more carefully with several approvers. So also this item was put on retro and discussed and defined this action item.
So conducting virtual meeting can be valuable for all the parts of the team. Okay, and the next question is, are there any signs that retro is turning into a time-based activity?
Very interesting question. I would say that retro is also for having fun, for relaxing, for maybe if everything is fine on the project, you don't have any difficulties, any issues, you can just gather together for relaxing, for discussing good stuff. It will not be time wasting. Well, you can make it shorter, yeah, and just to meet each other, to share your cameras, to see people in relaxed atmosphere, not during work activities. Because when you are discussing work-related tasks, you are serious, you are concentrated, you are talking just about this task. But during retro, you can share funny stories. You can make this relaxed, so it will not be time waste, I would say. But of course, if there are a lot of meetings and stories and tasks assigned to people, they will complain that we don't want additional meeting, we don't want additional time for this activity, etc. So try to ask from this side, from relaxing, from having fun. Maybe it will help to feel that it is not time wasting.
Okay, I think it's a situation when turning into a tea time can be a bad thing, bad side of retro. So it seems that we have the last question for today. Do you think it's important to add kudos section to the board? I think kudos is about appreciating your colleagues, team members on the results of the last sprint.
Yeah, as I shown you, the first column was what went well. And of course, retrospective is not only issues, not for discussion problem. Of course, as every conversation should start from good stuff, yeah. So you should start from what went well. In any situation, on any project, you can find that maybe small, maybe big items which were good. And kudos, if you mean that section where you can appreciate your colleagues, yeah, it will be great. So as I told, not only 3 columns should be put on board. You can put more. You can put additional, which you like most of all. Maybe someone from your colleagues suggest to add this column, and it will be is the most popular column on your board. And
Yeah.
and one notice: don't forget to share this with your customer. There are a lot of heroes in your team.
Okay, thank you for sharing advice. And it seems that we've finished with Q&A section for today. And as we conclude today's Tech Talk, I want to express my gratitude to our speaker, Natalia, for sharing such valuable insights into Redwas. And I think your Tech Talk was engaging and informative, and I appreciate your effort. And I also want to thank each of you, dear listeners, for your participation. Uh, as we approach the holiday season, I wish you all a joyful and relaxing time with your loved ones, and may the upcoming holidays bring you happiness, peace, and new inspirations for the year ahead. Once again, thank you. And one of the best ways to appreciate our speaker is to send badges via internal Heroes portal or via our community platform. And see you on the next events. Thank you and have a nice day. Bye.
Yes, thank you so much, dear listeners, that you came and asked questions. Actually, I like when people so interested in the topic that able to ask questions. I hope I have shared with you important information. You can find me in Teams and send me questions related to this topic. So don't hesitate to do this. And yeah, have a good time during Christmas and New Year.
Okay. Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.